What's up, folks? I'm Iman, Mr. B, and today I want to shine some light on a developing matter here regarding the National Housing Trust. Now, most of you, if you are familiar with the trust itself, if you're not, it was established in the 1970s with a primary objective of providing assistance to Jamaicans to own a home. Now, to say that the National Housing Trust has been delivering on that mandate would be quite a stretch, a real serious stretch. Now, here is an institution that is sitting down on what I call a veritable cash mountain. The National Housing Trust, at last count, had a cash reserve of $126 billion. And on top of that, it also has on its books an additional 76 billion in contributions that it gets directly from the contributors. In fact, for the 2023-24 accounting year, the NHT has reported that it took in some $40 odd billion of NHT contributions from contributors. Yet, it transferred some 22 billion of that to those cash reserves as profit. So its operating cost, which include salaries and other expenses, total over 20 odd billion dollars. Now, the question one have to ask yourself is, where is the NHT relative to its mandate to deliver housing, and how does it justify those expenses? And, against a background of what performance in terms of its housing delivery. The Housing Trust has delivered on an average just about 1,600 to 1,800 homes per year in the period 2018 to 2024. Yet, the same National Housing Trust is now announcing that for the 2024 to 2025 financial year, it plans to build some 15,000 houses. And one would have to ask the question, by what measure do you intend to produce this kind of outlay if you weren't able to do it certainly over the last nearly 10 years? You haven't been able to do this. What is it? 16 years you have not been able to build more than 1,800 homes a year. What's the difference? And, the short answer would be, it's an election year. And so what we're doing is making these election promises. The reality, though, is that by any stretch of the imagination, the National Housing Trust has failed Jamaicans. Now, consider this. The trust was established in the 1970s, around the same time that Singapore, who we always love to use as a measure, was coming out of the hole, if you will. Singapore is 770 odd square kilometers in terms of its size, relative to Jamaica, which is over 11,000 or just about 11,000 square kilometers. So in terms of size, Jamaica is almost 11 to 12 times the size of Singapore. Yet Singapore, considering when we look at the measure of Singapore versus Jamaica, where we both started, today Jamaica's GDP, Jamaica's per capita income is just about $6,000 per head, compared to Singapore, which is about 3 times that, right? A country that is smaller than Jamaica in terms of its size. Jamaica is 11 times the size of Singapore, has far more natural resources that Singapore has to offer. Yet, we are literally just lumbering our way along, right? And so the question you have to ask yourself is, how has our institutions served our purpose? Singapore, with far less resources, has managed to provide houses for more than 80% of its population resident in the country. Jamaica can barely provide housing for the most minuscule percentage of its population. And even where they put out those housing stats, the majority of Jamaicans can't afford them because of the way how the trust runs its business. In fact, the half of the mortgage that you pay, that Jamaicans pay, if they are lucky enough to get a mortgage from the housing trust, half of that money that you pay goes to administrative costs. Administrative costs. That is the cost of paying the salaries and the upkeep of the property and so on. And which is where them then turn around and say that is the service cost of the mortgage. More importantly, earlier this year, we see where the government has announced that they're basically moving monies from the trust into the commercial banking sector to handle the National Housing Trust previously administered loans. For why? You know, so essentially what you're doing is allowing the banks to use the NHT money and its facilities to just garner far more profit, which moves the whole idea, the whole concept of the trust away from further and further away from its mandate. People need to start asking these kind of questions. People need to really start to demand that the trust either delivers on its mandate or you recalibrate it. You can't have a managing director earn over $30 million a year, but there's no justification for what you're paying those salaries for. It can't be that you're paying because the trust is not a private company. The trust is exactly what it is. A trust. It has it owes its obligations to its contributors. Yet the contributors are hardly benefiting from the contributions that they're plugging. You imagine a business getting $40 billion a year in contributions that you have to do nothing to get that money, right? And then all you can tell me that you are able to do with that money is to pay executives to provide oversight. Half of that money is going to pay people's salary. Now build a house, right? Tell me what I want to think. Tell me what I want to think about when me think, right? Let me know if you think I rubbish me attack, say it. Put it in the comments. But if you like the video, hit the like button and of course, subscribe to the channel because that helps too. But more importantly, share with your friends. And, you know, again, if you have not yet subscribe to the channel. But let me see your feedback in the comment section. Respect.